Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Becca and today I have my October book haul. So as the title of this video may suggest, these are all of the books that I have acquired in the month of October. As usual, I have split these down into sections based on the places where I acquired these from. And today we have 4 different sections. We have books that I bought new, books that were gifted to me, books from publishers, and subscription box books. So I'm going to be starting off with the books that I bought brand new this month, the first of which is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is a classic that I have read in the past. It is one of my favourite classics. I have actually recently come to realize that I only like gothic classics, which is interesting and something that I'm definitely going to explore further. But the majority of the classics I have are in this Penguin English Library edition. I tend to pick up classics secondhand, and then when I've read them, if I enjoy them, I buy them in this edition, or else I've just been picking up books in this edition when I find them secondhand. And I needed to add an extra book to my Waterstones order this month so that I could get free shipping. So I thought it was about time that I upgraded my copy of The Picture of Dorian Gray. If you are unfamiliar with this book, it follows a young man who sells his soul to the devil in exchange for eternal youth. He has a portrait and he makes a wish that the portrait would age instead of him, and that comes true, and it just follows this process and him as he grows older but doesn't grow older. The next two are two halves of the same book, and that is part 1 and 2 of Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson, which I love how these join together. I really enjoy this. Oathbringer is the 3rd book in the Stormlight archive. I'm currently co-hosting a read-along of this series, and I will be reading both of these very chunky books. They're both at least 600 pages each. This one's over 700 and this one is just over 600, and I will be reading both of these in November. The Stormlight archive is one of the series in Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere, and it surrounds a war that is taking place on somewhere called the Shattered Plains. The war came about because one side, the Parshendi, orchestrated the assassination of the other side, the Alethi's king, at a time when they were supposed to be signing a peace treaty. So the Alethi have waged war against the Parshendi. However, this war has been going on forever and they have been making absolutely no progress. The next one is one that I sadly will not be keeping because it is faulty, and that was my pre-order of Hollowpox, The Hunting for Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is one of my most anticipated releases of the year. It's the Waterstones exclusive edition, so it has been signed by Jessica Townsend. It has these gorgeous orange sprayed edges, and it also has a stunning naked hardback. However, there has been a printing error with these books. I think after page 460 something, the pages are out of order, and I know some of the copies have faults in the, I've just noticed straight away. In the first couple of chapters, it goes from page 12 to page 17. So I will have to get this replaced at some point, and I'm very sad about it because I desperately wanted to read this in November. So this is the 3rd book in the Nevermore series, which follows a young girl called Morrigan Crow who is a cursed child. On the eve of, I think it's her 12th birthday, she is destined to die. However, during her town's bidding day, which is where a lot of influential people come to make bids on children to take as apprentices, Morrigan receives a bid from the mysterious Jupiter North, who swoops her away to Nevermore, which is this fantastical city, and when she is there, he enters her into a series of trials to gain entry into the Wondrous Society. Really love the world in here. Read the first 2 books earlier this year. Absolutely adored them. Cannot wait to get a copy of this that actually is readable, and then I can dive back into this world. The final book that I bought new this month is The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. This is a book that people have been recommending to me and telling me that I read, so I did pick it up. I'm very excited to get to this one. It is definitely a spooky fall read. However, I will not be able to read it this spooky fall. I'm not a seasonal reader, so that's not too much of a problem. I can read this anytime. But this is a story that surrounds witches. We follow a main character called Emmanuel, who has been brought up in this very religious society. However, one day she wanders into the woods around her town and is gifted the diary of her dead mother. Now, the actual plot of this is a lot more substantial than that. I do not know what it is because I have not read it, and that is pretty much the little bit that the inside dust jacket tells me. But regardless, I've heard reviews about this book from people that I really trust. I think I'm gonna love it, and I hope I can get to it it sometime soon. Moving on to the books that have been gifted to me this month. This one has not technically been gifted, I'm just borrowing it, and that is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Sylvia Marino Garcia. This one came up in my October TBR as my Inner Circle Patreon pick for the month, and Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction said that I could borrow her copy, so thank you very much, Ashley, for letting me borrow this. This story follows a young girl called Cassiopeia. I believe it is set in the Jazz Age, which I think is the 20s and 30s maybe? I'm shit at history, I can't even lie. Cassiopeia wants to participate in the Jazz Age, however she is busy taking care of her grandfather's house. That is until one day Cassiopeia stumbles across a chest in her grandfather's room, and when she opens it she releases a Mayan god of death. Really excited to read this. It was one that was kind of vaguely on my radar until I actually read the synopsis, because I have to read it this month, and now I am very excited to pick this one up. Ashley did also give me a book this month because she had a spare copy, so thank you very much once again, Ashley, and that one is A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. This one follows a young man whose sister is kidnapped by a vengeful spirit, and he strikes up a bargain with this vengeful spirit that if he kills the crown princess then his sister will be released. Heard excellent things about this one. Absolutely stunning cover. I love the emerald green and gold on here, and I can't wait to get to it. The wonderful Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin kindly gifted me Frostheart 2 Escape from Aurora by Jamie Littler, so thank you so much, Gavin, for this. This is the sequel to Gavin's favourite middle grade ever. I read the first Frostheart book last November, and I plan on reading Frostheart 2 this November. Frostheart follows a young boy called Ash who lives in this snowy landscape where there's monsters in the snow. His parents are pathfinders, which means that they are people who go out and scout all of the communities across this landscape, and one day they left on a pathfinding mission and never returned. So when Ash is thrown out of his community for singing, which is something bad in this world, he takes this opportunity to join a group of pathfinders and sets out in search of his missing parents. These next two were a gift from Hannah. Thank you so much, Hannah, for sending these my way. They are a couple of books that she was unhauling and knew that I was interested in, and I'm really excited about these guys. The first one is the Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 8 Omnibus Volume 1, which is a mouthful of a title, but if you have been watching my videos recently you may know that I have finally started reading the canonical Buffyverse comics. I'm currently reading Angel After the Fall. Volume 2 of Angel After the Fall should be in this video, but it still hasn't arrived, so I'm gonna have to chase that up. But essentially there are a ton of comics that come after the end of the TV show for both Buffy the Vampire Slayer and also Angel, and this is 10 volumes bound into one. These are hefty comic series. So when Hannah reached out to me and said that she was unhauling some of these and asked if I would like them, I definitely jumped at the chance. I'm not currently up to season 8. I have to read Angel After the Fall and also Spike After the Fall before I can delve into this one, but I am very excited. I read the first couple of pages, and the first couple of pages relate to the last season of Angel, and it was just good times. The second one that Hannah gifted me was Buffy the Vampire Slayer Volume 2. Now this is a completely different series. This is a reboot by Boom Comics where they've taken the story and the characters of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and modernized them. So I bought Volume 1 I think last month. I desperately want to start this. There is an opportunity in my TBR for this month where I could start this series, but I am trying my hardest to hold myself to a rule that I've made over the last couple of weeks. I'm not going to be starting any new series throughout the rest of 2020 unless Bookopoly forces me to. So I'm very eager to get to this. The art is absolutely fantastic, but I'm trying my best not to dive in right now, but I'm really excited for this reboot. The next section are books that were given to me by publishers. Both of these books are from Penguin, so thank you so much to Penguin for your generosity. The first one is Just Like You by Nick Hornby. I read an arc of this in September and I have been gifted the finished copy. This is an adult contemporary story that follows a middle-class white woman in her 40s and a young working class black man in his 20s, and it is about how they feel a mutual attraction to each other. However, they have a lot of obstacles to overcome because they are two very different people in very different stages of their lives. The other book that Penguin sent me forms a nice segue into my subscription box books, because somehow this month I've ended up with 2 copies of A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. This is the standard UK hardback that was sent to me by Penguin, and this one is the Illumicrate edition that came in the September Illumicrate. This is the first book in Naomi Novik's brand new series. It's an adult fantasy series series that takes place in a deadly magic school called the Scholomance, and in here we follow a young girl called Galadriel who is just trying to do whatever she can and whatever it takes to survive long enough to get to graduation. I actually finished this book last night. I both adored and hated it in equal measure, and you will soon find out why in either my reading vlog or my end of month wrap up. But yeah, very mixed feelings about this book, but I did enjoy it. And the Illumicrate edition of this, I mean, the cover's just generally stunning, but the Illumicrate edition has an inverted design. It also has the Scholomance symbol on the naked hardback, and on the spine it says the Scholomance isn't a forgiving place. As well as that, it also has navy sprayed edges. Both of these editions are absolutely stunning, and I'm really excited to read the second book in this series. Honestly, cannot wait, even though I have very mixed feelings about the whole thing. As we have now moved on to subscription box books, the next one is from my September Owlcrate, and that is Horrid by Katrina Leno. So this is a young adult fantasy. I want to say it's got some fantasy or horror aspects in here, but it follows a girl whose father has died, and so her and her mother move back to, I think it's her mother's childhood home, which is this dilapidated old house. And in that house, the main character discovers this locked room that is like an untouched, pristine child's bedroom. I don't know anything more about it aside from that, but I am very interested in reading this because it seems to have a very creepy premise, and I have also heard excellent things about Katrina Leno. The September Fairy Loot book was Fable by Adrienne Young, which has these very pretty shimmery edges. This is the story of a 17-year-old girl who is the daughter of a very famous sea trader. Her father abandoned her a few years ago to go and live on this legendary island that's full of thieves and treasure, and she is on her way to find this island and her father so that she can demand her rightful place among his crew. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this. Sea books, I feel, always sound good in theory, but I don't always love them in reality. Regardless, I will be giving this a try, and I do hope I enjoy it. So that is it. Those are all the books that I have hauled in the month of October. I'm very excited to get to a lot of these. Thank you so much to anybody who gifted me a book in this video, and also to any of the publishers or subscription boxes that sent me any of the books in this video. Down in the comments, please let me know if you read any of these and what you thought of them. Aside from that, please don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you wanna. If you head into my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish body butter and candle website, the Instagram for that, and a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.